Of course, though, we begin here with our big story. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General C.Q. Brown showing support for Israel while working to prevent its fight against Hamas from escalating in the region. Secretary Austin and General Brown are respectively America's top civilian and military commanders, both of them visiting Israel to discuss the next phase in this war strategy. Austin speaking alongside his Israeli counterpart earlier and said that the U.S. has insights to offer based on our own country's experience fighting terrorists.
We also have some great thoughts about how to transition from high-intensity operations to a lower intensity and more surgical operations. So we had great discussions on all of those issues.
Well, Austin and other U.S. officials, including President Biden, have repeatedly expressed concern about the large number of civilian deaths in Gaza, even while asserting American support for Israel's campaign aimed at destroying Hamas. So joining me now is our ABC News senior Pentagon reporter, Luiz Martinez, who is now in Jordan. He's traveling with the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman. And Luiz, thank you so much for being here with us. And as you know, this face-to-face meeting that you're witnessing and that you're seeing play out, the significance of that certainly cannot be overstated. And there's growing concern about this war widening, and already it sounds like some decisions are made. So, Luiz, I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit more here about Operation Prosperity Guardian.
Yes, Kana, that is the newly established multinational naval task force just announced by the Pentagon to counter the threat by the Houthi militants in Yemen, who have been launching ballistic missiles, have been launching drones at commercial shipping in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. It's had a huge impact on shipping companies who have told their ships not to enter those waterways until the security situation calms down. But this new initiative, Prosperity Guardian, is going to be made up of the United States, some European countries, and they're looking for additional countries that can provide naval ships as well as resources to essentially protect commercial shipping in those waterways. Very vital transport area for the economic shipping that goes towards Europe and other countries.
Hopefully to protect and deter. Also, Luiz, you know, the Defense Intelligence Agency just released a map showing nearly a dozen of those Houthi attacks there in the Red Sea. And this is just since October. And when you see it like that, I think it really does highlight the concern over this region. Secretary Austin was asked today about why the U.S. hasn't really hit back. And very shortly after that meeting is when we learned of this new multinational naval task to combat this. So, Luiz, do people feel as if the U.S. is not responding with enough strength here?
I think what U.S. officials have been stressing is that this is not just a U.S. problem. This is an international problem. They're saying that this is international shipping that goes through those waterways, and it deserves an international response. So that's why they worked out trying to establish this naval task force. Actually, what they're doing is they're building on the framework of an already existing naval task force called Task Force 153. And let's talk about the variations in threats. Earlier, it was piracy threats from Somali pirates. That's why that task force was established. Now, since it's still in place, they're now just going to add to it. And now the focus is going to be on protecting ships from Houthi militants there in Yemen. That graphic just shows you where all of those attacks have been concentrated, these missiles and these drones that have been being fired from Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. We've seen American ships, naval ships, that have already shot down some of these drones and some of these missiles because they were heading towards ships, or they're heading towards Israel in some cases. So, yes, a very growing threat that required, according to the United States, an international response.
All right, Luiz. And also, what has the U.S. expressed that they would like to see after Israel finishes its major military operation there in Gaza? And also, Luiz, what is the Israeli response to that?
The United States has been stressing the transition to the next phase away from major combat operations inside of Gaza. The violence and the destruction that you're seeing on your screens right now is being caused because of the airstrikes, because of troops on the ground there in Gaza. And the United States wants to see that a smooth transition to the next phase where there's more targeted operations, like you heard from Secretary Austin, where there's more of a fluidity of operations, so that therefore continuity of life can go on, so that humanitarian aid can continue to go in at the same time while establishing security for the Israelis who have moved away from the areas close to Gaza because of the ongoing threat. So it's a balance of issues. What we heard from the Israeli defense minister yesterday was that these were frank discussions, but at the same time, They are willing to listen to the United States, but there's no discussion of a timetable. And that's something that the United States actually wants to see. They want to know when this transition can take place so that we can see the hostilities go down a bit.
All right, Louis, I know you'll be watching that very closely for us. Thank you so much, and please travel safe. And let's bring our big story now to our panel. So joining us today is our ABC News contributor and SiriusXM radio host, Mike Muse, ABC News contributor and former Democratic Senator from North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp, ABC News contributor and former Trump administration official, Sarah Isgur, and ABC News contributor and op-ed columnist for the Los Angeles Times, LZ Granderson. So thank you all so much for being here with us. Heidi, let's start here with you. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby called the mistaken shooting of those 3 hostages by the IDF tragic and sad. But Heidi, anger among Israelis is mounting, as is international pressure. How do these in-person visits from top American military officials impact that situation?
I think it reinforces the resolve of the administration to stand with Israel, but it also is a reminder that they have to calibrate. They cannot be full force, and that when you go forward and you see kind of what does victory look like, and you see the international community now more and more diverting from a pro-Israeli stand, or at least taking a look and saying we need a ceasefire. We need to make sure that everybody stays on the same page. And I think it's absolutely critical that we continue this kind of diplomacy with not just the region, but diplomacy within Israel.
And diplomacy, I know, feels very far away for a lot of people right now. Sarah, as we turn here to you, we're watching this pressure mount. There's a saying I know you've heard from Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm paraphrasing, not directly quoting here, but the sense of what he said is that if the enemy would lay down their weapons, there would be no war. But if Israel were to lay down its weapons, there would be no Israel. We know that Israel is still taking rocket fire from Hamas, but we don't see the same public pressure on Hamas, it seems.
That's exactly right. I mean, we talk about the tragedy of Israel accidentally shooting these hostages. Where's the blame on Hamas? Why were those people there in the first place? Because Hamas kidnapped them and intentionally put them in harm's way for exactly this purpose. Where is the pressure on Hamas to lay down its arms, to actually abide by a ceasefire? Ceasefire after ceasefire they've broken for 20 years, and yet we're still calling on Israel to have a ceasefire? How about the people who said they would do October 7th again and again and again if given the opportunity? How do you have a ceasefire with only one side agreeing to it?
And LZ, I'd love for you to I'd love to let you just respond directly to Sarah there.
Well, I think part of the reason why is because it isn't just 3 parties that we're talking about. There's Hamas, there's the Palestinian people, like the innocent people in Gaza, for instance, and then there's the people of Israel. So while I certainly understand what you're talking about, but this isn't a 1 versus 1 conversation. There are actually the majority of people that are involved. Almost 2 million displaced individuals are caught in between. So that's the reason why there's so much passion for a ceasefire, is because we're thinking about the people that's caught in between who have no agency of their own.
But how do we call it a ceasefire when only one side stops shooting?
And it is the IDF that... Go ahead, LZ.
You're asking very, very good questions, but the question I have is this. At what point does Israel go from defending itself nationally or globally to looking as if it's seeking revenge, given the number of innocent people who are getting caught and killed during this war? I've talked about this many times. As a journalist, there's a natural narrative when it comes to war, and obviously the people who want to win the war want to control the narrative so that they have the higher moral ground. Unfortunately, the more innocent Palestinian people are seen killed, the less it seems as if Israel has that higher ground. That's my concern.
And I'd like to let Mike Muse weigh in here. I know that that is an issue that you and I have talked about extensively here in the misinformation campaign that we're seeing coming out of this war, Mike. And I do think that the killing of these 3 hostages has certainly been an inflection point within Israel, for the people of Israel, as they look towards their government and how their government is going to move forward.
You're absolutely right. I think that is why it was the importance of Secretary Austin's visits to underscore what President Biden initially said in the beginning, is that Israel has a right to respond, but must do so with restraint. And it's evident by the killing, the accidental killing of the 3 hostages that came out in a makeshift white flag being shirtless, that the question remains, was there restraint or is the IDF so emotionally charged? Which is what the administration is putting their pressure on with making sure that they begin to pivot to more elite forces and strategic targeted strikes within the populated centers of South Gaza. As a result, as a continual general bombardment, you're starting to see the casualty arise, to which the question between Sarah and LZ begins to rise up in terms of what is proportionate and what is the ratio. But Heidi said it best, Kira, is that we need more diplomacy. We need to engage Egypt and Qatar to be more moderates on the ground, so that while these ceasefires are there, that there is assurance that Hamas will stop firing rockets into Israel, so that we can move forward that diplomatic two-state solution, which Secretary Austin was alluding to in his remarks.
All right, Mike, Heidi, Sarah, and LZ, thank you, and make sure that you stay with us. We'll be coming back to this panel.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.